In what could only be described as the most appropriate response to a journalist asking you for a comment, the Bernie Sanders campaign in South Carolina has called the police on Project Veritas, and I kid you not, well, at least according to the story, said that the journalists were threatening them. Yes, lo and behold, the people who think words are violence are now claiming that a journalist saying things like, "The electorate deserves to know. Will you comment on the undercover footage, yada, yada." They're saying those are threats. Now, obviously, they're lying, but we've seen this all before. It goes in two different directions, okay? There's this video you may have seen. Jack Posobiec, renowned Trump supporter. He's a host for One American News. He's like standing on a street corner. I'm pretty sure it was Jack. And some Antifa dude like hits him or something or punches him. And then all of a sudden the cops pull up. It's like a convenient cop moment. You've seen those on Reddit. And all of a sudden, the Antifa people are like, no one did anything. He didn't actually hit him. No, they immediately start lying. Lo and behold, the Bernie Sanders campaign start lying about Project Veritas. And what's really funny about this is like, dude, Veritas is literally filming what they're doing. How do you think you're going to be able to get away with lying to the police when Veritas films not only do they film undercover, they're filming when you don't know they're filming. They're walking around with a guy who's got a microphone and a camera. And you're going to tell the cops they were threatening you. I got to say, man, I don't know if Veritas can get, filing a false police report or something like that, but they really should. Because if these staffers literally, at least according to the police, it seems like they were claiming they were being threatened. That's a lie. You can't call the police and lie to them in an attempt to get reporters, anybody really, arrested or something worse. It's a reference to swatting, if you get my drift. But let's read the story and see. James has responded. It's from the Washington Times. Bernie Sanders campaign in South Carolina calls cops on Project Veritas. Quote, "It's one of those things they wish he hadn't said that, but they're still standing by him." So this is actually interesting. It's being covered by a local ABC affiliate. Project Veritas video reveals comments made by Bernie Sanders campaign staffer. This guy basically said a bunch of crazy stuff, right? So we had the first video from Veritas where the Iowa field organizer was like talking about gulags and education camps. Lo and behold, Veritas gets another staffer, this time in South Carolina. Now, a bunch of Iowa directors locked down their social media. Where's the press? Now we've got multiple staff in South Carolina, at least two so far, shutting down their accounts. The man in question, no, I'm sorry, not South Carolina. We actually have my understanding is the national deputy communications director has locked down her account. This is massive news. Bernie is the front runner. They are going on. Trump is tweeting about it. The front runner for the Democratic presidential campaign's national deputy director of communications has shut down her Twitter. This is major news. Where's the press on this one? They're so busy talking about Bernie Sanders' comments from 40 years ago, they're ignoring Project Veritas. I'm going to give a big shout out to Veritas guys. Listen, if you want to complain that Veritas is biased or conservative, you're free to do so. But that says nothing about the fact that they're doing real journalism. If you've got a problem with the fact that they're exposing staffers in the Sanders campaign, saying insane things, that's Bernie's problem, not the journalists. If you think Republicans should be exposed, why don't you start an outfit called like the Veritas Project and then go and do undercover reporting targeting Republicans? This is what's crazy to me. You have this media apparatus in this country that ignores tons of information, claims reporting from the New York Times is a conspiracy theory. Okay. Look, I'm giving credit to the New York Times and to The Hill and the Washington Post when they actually reported on the Ukraine stuff. But then you have the biased individuals in the press acting like those things are not true. If you've got a problem with Veritas, but you don't have a problem with the fact, like Vox, for instance, has been accused of stealing people's content and overtly being biased and praising Democrats lying, well, you've got the problem, not Veritas. You can't blame them for actually going out and doing the journalism just because you don't like the fact that they're exposing your people, right? So anyway, here's what happens. These staffers get exposed. Very few in the press are actually talking about it because they're obsessed with these other weird smears. But let's read the story. They say, a Bernie Sanders field office in South Carolina called police on Project Veritas investigators seeking comment from campaign officials on a staffer caught on hidden camera video expressing radical left-wing views. In a video posted Thursday, an officer with the North Charleston Police Department told a Project Veritas team that the campaign office for the 2020 Democratic presidential primary candidate would have no comment on the video. Now, here's what's really amazing. The Bernie Sanders staffers, I don't know if this is a thing, like this might be unprecedented, but Project Veritas actually got a comment from the Sanders staff vicariously, is that the right word? Like through a police officer. So apparently these Sanders staffers called the police, claimed it like the Veritas guys were threatening them. That's absurd. That's a lie. And they should not be allowed to do that. But apparently then the cop was like, here's what they said, providing a comment. Unless you think the cop is lying. Here's the quote. This is what they're telling me, is that all of the people that they work with and for and stuff like that, that will have no comment, will have no comment. That's what you're going to get from them, no comment. The officer added, if you try to make comment with them, it's no comment. They are aware of videos you guys took, the undercover stuff. It's one of those things where they wish he hadn't said that, but they're still standing by him or whatever. Hey, whatever. Dude, this is huge because never, I believe this is unprecedented, do you have a front runner for the presidential nomination, his staff, more than one, saying things about executing conservatives. I know that might be a little hyperbolic because what they're doing now, the leftists are taking the key portion where the guy he basically says Nazis need to be re-educated. But what they're omitting is the dude literally said Trump supporters need to be re-educated just like they did to the Nazis. He is talking about Trump supporters. So now they're saying, so what? Bernie Sanders staffer is talking about, re-educating Nazis. That's what everyone, that's normal. That's cool. It's like, dude, he's using that as an analogy to talk about why he wants to send Republicans to gulags. Okay. That's where people died. Okay. So here's what's really funny. Bernie Sanders tweeted about the free press because Glenn Greenwald has been charged with, they're charging him with some kind of crimes, claiming that his journalism is, he's actively participating. It's the same shtick that, governments try to do all the time to shut down journalists. They say, Obama did it. You were an active participant soliciting, blah, blah, blah. BS. I call BS on this. Glenn Greenwald knows better. Okay. I think Glenn's been really, really great about some things. I'm critical of him on some other issues. But if you're going to try and convince me that Glenn Greenwald, who has been heavily scrutinized since he worked with Snowden to leak those, the NSA files, you think that dude's not, looking over his shoulder every 2 seconds? You're nuts. There's no way Glenn Greenwald did this. But anyway, I digress. Give that shout out to Glenn Greenwald. Bernie Sanders said the free press is never more important than when it exposes wrongdoing by the powerful. Is that so, Mr. Sanders? That is why President Bolsonaro is threatening Glenn Greenwald for the crime of doing journalism. I call on Brazil to end its authoritarian attack on press freedom and the rule of law. We can see good old Sticks, X, and Hammer responding with, what about Assange? For some reason, Sticks always pops up. Maybe it's because I respond to him on Twitter. But shout out to Sticks. He has a great YouTube channel if you haven't followed him. So here's what James O'Keefe says. In response, you claim a free press is important while at the same time having your campaign call the police and claim that Project Veritas Action journalists were threatening employees for asking questions about re-education gulags and violent revolution. The hypocrisy is too much. And then he then shows this video. The officer said they're going to have, they said they are going to have no comment. If you try to make contact with them, then it's no comment. It's one of those things where they wish he hadn't said that. We get it. And then we have this, they link this, the Times. Both of the calls were regarding individuals allegedly following employees and allegedly threatening employees, Deputy Chief Deckard said in an email. That is insane. So let me talk about Bernie Sanders' hypocrisy. Let me talk about the media hypocrisy. I don't get it. I'll tell you this, I don't get it. Right now, the media is screeching, spitting and yelling about all of these bad things Bernie Sanders has done, and they're ignoring Project Veritas Action. I will point out, too, many of you may be wondering what's the difference between Veritas and Veritas Action. My understanding, I could be wrong, is that Project Veritas Action is political issues. So it's like Bernie Sanders' campaign, and Project Veritas is like everything else. I don't know what the distinction is for. I think it has to do with like legal restrictions or something. Don't ask me, but there's two different. There's Project Veritas and Veritas Action. So Veritas Action is the one going out and asking what's going on. My understanding is they're a nonprofit. So you have nonprofit journalists. Call them activists. Call them whatever you want. They're doing journalism. When a guy walks up with a microphone in public and says, can you comment on this thing? No one is threatening you. But of course, that's the game they're playing. I actually think, I mean, it likely won't happen. I'd like to see, James and Project Veritas reach out to the police and say, we have proof they lied to the police. I think if you want to lie and try and get someone, falsely accuse someone of committing a crime, threatening someone is a crime, well, then they should be held accountable. If Bernie Sanders' office claimed that they were threatening him and Veritas has footage of it, I think they should put that footage out. But we got a couple more tweets that I want to go through from James. He says in this one, So this one I already mentioned, and I think this bears heavy repeating. And then I want to show you something interesting about searching the media for what's going on with Bernie. But this is major news. You really have to understand. To see Bernie Sanders' national level staff shutting their accounts down at a time when Bernie Sanders is taking the lead, it's really, I don't know, man. It's crazy that the media isn't jumping all over this for two reasons. This is historical precedent. A national level director is shutting down communications in the wake of a scandal, and the media is ignoring it. That in itself is a scandal. They're obsessed with an email about Joe Biden or comments Bernie Sanders made in 1976. I don't care. Meanwhile, this is going on right now. Bernie Sanders' staff has serious problems. Okay, James O'Keefe has already proven 2 different offices have this kind of rhetoric floating around. And based on the comments of these 2 guys undercover, it seems like it's a common thing they talk about. In Iowa, the dude that Veritas uncovered was talking about all the other staffers who agreed with him and were probably further left than he was. And when you have in the South Carolina one, there's actually another person sitting with the guy. And now you have a national level director locking down their accounts. Check this out. He said, Bernie Sanders, Deputy Digital Communications Director at National Park, actually locked her account down today in response to questions about Exposed 2020. I'll say it slower so even CNN can understand. The Deputy Digital Communications Director locked her Twitter. Where's press? Where's the press on any of this? So let me show you something over on, we go over to Google. Check this out. Here's what happens when you go to Google and search for Bernie Sanders. This is what I get. I know Google can be tailored. It's here. The top story is the surge. Voters like Bernie. Bernie is rising in the polls. Bernie's healthcare plan will save money. It's all decently positive. Warren's ambush backfired. Obama feels Sanders is unfit to battle Trump, and he has told people that he might say so publicly. That's Fox Business. All the other outlets seem to be fairly positive. Even the Washington Examiner, which is a conservative outlet. Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez hit back. Bernie's labor support snowballs. All of this really, really great stuff. Then you have this, the Joe Biden one. Joe Biden loses cool after a reporter grills him about the feud with Sanders. I'll tell you this, man. We can see some press outlets absolutely biased against Bernie. For sure, like CNN, MSNBC, sometimes. But look at the Google search. Even CNN is got positive stories. Where's the story about his staff talking about locking up Republicans in re-education camps? Local news has it. Look at this. ABC 3340. I don't know why it has 2 numbers, but it's a local Alabama station. Check this one out. When you search for Bernie Sanders staffer on Google, the autofill results will be gulag, pay $15, minimum wage, and union. These are all referencing scandals. These are the autofill. You can see this. The remove right here is what I've previously searched, and these are what it's recommending. When we search for just Bernie, we get polls, Warren, fundraising, Iowa, Warren donations. There's nothing about Veritas. Now I'll tell you why I'm showing you this. According to Axios, Axios was citing a Newswhip study. Bernie Sanders, the story about him and Warren, had less interactions and engagements on social media than the Project Veritas story. I'm curious as to why then we don't see anything about that popping up. Technically campaign, I guess. Why is the second search result Elizabeth Warren? If you were to ask me, based on what we know about Google and what we've seen with how they've removed, like Tulsi Gabbard was removed from search on YouTube, her ad account was suspended. She's currently suing them. I think it's fair to say that Google is tailoring what actually comes up, not based on what people search for, because Newswhip said the most engaged with story was about Project Veritas. And I'll tell you this too. When I go and do the analytics on my videos, so for the most part, I don't do any hard SEO stuff for this channel. On my main channel, when I type in Project Veritas or Bernie Sanders, you know what comes up? Because I have a third-party analytics company that helps me choose the appropriate keywords and stuff. What comes up is Project Veritas, a little bit Elizabeth Warren, but that shows me that even on Google's own platforms, you can search for the stuff, but it doesn't appear. Now, here's my favorite. Let's do Hillary Clinton. Net worth book height, net worth wiki book tour toilet paper. That's impressive. For those that don't know, you can buy politicians' faces that appear on toilet paper, I guess. Nothing about Bernie, nothing about her. It's all positive, nothing negative. But let's do this. Let's jump over to the news tab and see what comes up. Gabbard is suing. Gabbard is suing. Gabbard is suing. Hillary Clinton hijacks race for presidential nomination from Fox News. I mean, look, it's probably not a good one-to-one comparison bringing up Hillary Clinton in this regard. But I'm trying to, point out that she recently slammed Bernie. All of the news that could possibly be negative is like old things Bernie said, from outlets that clearly, want to toe the line for the establishment. But where is anything from Veritas? And that's what I find particularly strange. You can't deny the comments were made. And I guess what I would ask, because I've asked people this, has there ever been a time where the front runner of a presidential campaign staff in multiple offices were refusing to take answers from the press, were shutting down, and they were caught actively saying they want, the other side to be locked in camps, reeducated, or even executed? Is that a normal thing? So I don't know why. We can see that the media has smeared and been very bad to Bernie in a lot of ways. But I think, based on my search, I think at this point I'm going to say it seems like they're actually only some of them are bad. Like, look at this. This is a story from the Daily Beast saying that he once compared Vermont workers to black slaves. It's like a faux controversy. They're trying to dig up old things from Bernie to try and smear him, but it's not a big deal. If they really wanted to cause harm to his campaign, they could go nuts on the Veritas stuff, but they don't do it. I think it might be because they don't want to legitimize Project Veritas because they're scared. Veritas does real journalism and they'll come for you. Again, call them biased. It doesn't matter. Okay. You've got a ton of biased media, but Veritas is actually getting there and exposing people. What I love about Veritas too is that when they're accused of manipulation, it's like James's response is, we only ever publish videos showing their lips moving. Like, what more proof do you need them saying it? And what's funny is they always try to downplay it like it's just one staffer or he was just being drunk. One guy from the Washington Post, Dave Weigel, said it was a Bernie volunteer. They're both paid staffers. So it's like they're trying really hard to cover up and protect the guy in this regard. And I don't know why, because other people in media are trying to smear him. I will add, I think Bernie is unfit to be president simply because he won't even support his own supporters. He's apologizing to Biden. But it's the weirdest thing that Project Veritas is lied about relentlessly. But so many in the media will be like, I have an anonymous source. You've never heard them. You'll never know their name. They might not even exist, but that's completely legitimate. But Veritas publishing someone, even if they're just being a braggart, even if they're just drunk and trying to, woo some chick or something and be like, I can do all these things. They said it. They did. And I think it's fair to point out in regards to that, though, that people often talk big and people often lie. So, Veritas, I think one criticism their way is you probably catch some people lying or trying to talk big and trying to sound, like really crazy and trying to be like, sound tough and confident. So, and I don't mean in reference to the Bernie Sanders stuff, because those guys literally said, like, maybe we should put Republicans in re-education camps. That'll help. Like, dude, that's that. What I mean is like when they did the expose on the New York Times guy, Nick Dudek, who, by the way, I know that guy, full disclosure. But when he did the expose on that guy, it's like the dude was clearly just trying to brag and like sound cool. You know what I mean? I think it's fair to say there is truth and the things they say, but I think you got to be careful about some of these people just trying to sound powerful. In the case of Bernie Sanders, however, I don't think that criticism it works in any capacity. And again, I'm only saying that as a light criticism. I think for the most part, Veritas hits it out of the park. This is huge. Project Veritas has uncovered staffers in multiple offices from the front runner of the presidential, a front runner for the Democratic nomination, talking about locking up their opponents. So you get the point. I'm not gonna beat the dead horse anymore. The main takeaway from this is that while Bernie claims to like defend free speech when it comes to Glenn Greenwald, where is he now that his own staff have called the police on journalists for asking questions and lied about it? Nowhere to be seen. Why isn't the media talking about this? I think it's insane. I think this is huge news. Where's Fox has talked about these staffers, but you know what, man? We live in a crazy world. I'll tell you this, as somebody who grew up in Chicago with all liberal friends and all lefties who has always been critical of Fox News, it is crazy to see this massive story and the press won't cover it. Fox News does. Fox News gave Bernie Sanders a town hall. Fox News gave a town hall to a couple Democrats. They've hired some Democrats. See, and even Trump has criticized Fox News and what's happening. I think Fox News realizes that regular Americans are being pushed out and they want to go a little bit more moderate to attract, former liberal type people, disaffected liberals like me. It's probably a better way to put it. I still consider myself to be liberal, but I'm politically homeless. I don't even know what's going on anymore. Fox News is covering this stuff. And so I'll tell you what, I'll wrap up with this. Turn on Fox News right now or anytime. You'll probably hear some stuff about Trump. They cover the Senate impeachment trial, so it's dominating right now. But I do this game all the time with my friends. You will have they'll be talking about the Wuhan virus. They'll be talking about Hong Kong or Iran. Switch to CNN. What is it? Trump. Always Trump. I had to turn it off. I used to have CNN playing in the background because not that I like their commentary, but when breaking news happens, I'd be like, they'll pick up the breaking news story and I'll get that alert right away. Not anymore. Now I turn it on. I'm like, dude, there's like Hong Kong is lighting up. Turn on CNN. Well, the thing about Donald Trump, you got to understand. I'm like, whoa. There's breaking news right now, man. Protesters in Iran. Well, the thing about Donald Trump, I kid you not. Anyway, I'm not gonna pray on it. I'll stick around. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel, and we'll see if anyone ever mentions anything. Look, it's only conservative media that's actually talking about what Bernie Sanders and his staff are doing, and I think it's sheer hypocrisy that he's going to try and defend the free press, but not address his own staff calling the police on journalists. So I'll leave it there. See you all at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out.